Good morning, everybody. Um, yes, we have a lot of now going on. Our month of Back to the Future. It's been fun to hear how everyone translates something that could be so wide open, and I think we've all kind of centered around the fact that there is only the now. There is only the present moment. So I guess what I'm here to do is to kind of do a sweep, a grand sweep of all the beautiful talks that we've had to hit the final home run, so to speak. And when I found that Joel Goldsmith quote, I was so thrilled. And actually, it's a book that we're reading in my current class. We're going to start reading it next week, and it's called that The Mystical Eye. And what he wrote is, in God there is no time. There is only the eternal now. The eternal now. So the future, it already exists. Because in that quantum field, in this God field, in the eternal now, there is no time. So the future already exists. Just sit with that and imagine what that means. And I'm gonna dig into that a little bit more, because I know and I believe that the seeds of the future are contained in this very present moment. What is going to outpicture in the future is what we are doing and thinking and believing right this moment. So the way of creation is to stay in this present moment and create from those qualities that we desire, rather than from those worries and concerns and fears. Now, I ask you, what are your seeds? What are the seeds that you're planting right at this moment? Do they contain worry or pain? Or are they filled and overflowing with unlimited possibilities? It's a great question to ask yourself. And before we explore how to stay in the present moment, because what I'm talking about, really staying in the present moment, is the most important thing. And I'm going to add something to that. Staying in the present moment from a loving heart, being in that loving presence. Because I don't know about all of you, but my journey in New Thought has been filled with hills and valleys. In other words, by coming to awareness of my beliefs, my actions, what I do and say, it's been filled and overflowing with lots of epiphanies. And sometimes, as someone that knows what I know, I've used those epiphanies to beat myself up. So what was I thinking? Okay, I'm gonna give in to you guys one right here, right now, because it's so on the forefront of my mouth. I've had this challenge on my upper right quadrant of my mouth, and my dentist and I have been watching it for a while. And it's just so amazing how the universe works. Every now and then I get a little fleeting thought of, Cindy, you might want to take care of that before it becomes a problem. And I'd just, yeah, okay. And I'd move on. Well, I am serious that this last Thursday evening, I was driving and the thought came, and it didn't just pass. It kind of came and it sat there for a second. And I was in a moment of fear around it. Now, I wasn't having a toothache. I wasn't having anything. It felt good. I really take care of it. I really, I'm really conscientious about, keeping that area clean and having the best oral hygiene that I can. Literally, that morning, I wake up and I'm like, uh-oh, oh no. I just had that thought when I was driving, and lo and behold, here it is. So I planted a seed, you guys. I planted a seed of worry and fear. And the way it works in my life these days is it happens instantaneously, right? It doesn't wait and wait and wait. It's just here now, okay? So I want to talk about different ways that we can stay present in this moment with those qualities that we want to create, right? So those challenges of living in the past or the future, I think it's a human condition that we all get to go through. But when you're living in the past, I believe that that's where depression resides. It's an endless and a vicious cycle when we want to revisit things that have happened and we want the outcome to be different, but it's already happened. That's depression. And I know for me, when I allow my mind to be hijacked, great word, Reverend Joan, I'm borrowing it. when I allow my mind to be hijacked by these thoughts that cause me anger, frustration, pain, shame, depression, that's when it's my biggest moment to have the awareness that, oh, wait a minute, here I go. I want to choose something different. Now, it doesn't mean that I ignore those emotions that are coming up for me. What I do is sit and allow them to be and really feel them without making a home or a condo or a house there, but give myself the space to cry, to yell into my pillow, to journal, to say and do whatever is there for me to say and do. It's very important that I honor every feeling. So when we live in our past, it's always a challenge to be present. How can we be present when we're thinking about what happened? Right? I often think about how I overcame a really tough divorce, because when it first happened, of course, I was in my grief. I was angry. I was sad. I felt shame that it didn't work. And as I continued through all of those emotions, I'd go days and feel really good, and then all of a sudden, there it would be again. It would pop back up into my heart. I'd feel the grief again. I'd feel it. And all I can say is that my spiritual practices, and for this particular challenge in my life, my practice of gratitude is what helped bounce me out of that place and into the now. You can't be grateful for what's happening in this present moment and also be in the past. You can't be grateful for this present moment and be in the future. So staying with the now. The other thing that happens is when we live in the future, that's where anxiety and worry reside. Right? It's those what ifs. It's that to-do list, and you've checked off a bunch of things on your to-do list, and there's a couple that are bringing you anxiety and fear, and you keep not doing them. And when you finally do it, it happens so easily, right? It gets done, and you're wondering, why did I put myself through such anxiety about doing this thing? Writing this card, making this call, whatever it was. All of that lives in our head. It's not in our body, it's in our head. And it's It's not where I want to live. I'll just say that. So, um, that divorce that I was talking about, when I was living in the future, I asked the questions I was asking that kept me in anxiety was, what happens if I never find someone to love? What happens if I lose my dogs? What happens if my financial health is ruined because of letting go of the house? I had all of these what if, and I'm so on the other side of it that it's remarkable to see that some of those things happened. You guys, I did lose my dogs. And you know what? You all know I have new dogs that are my heart and soul and I love so much. And all of you know that I do have love in my life. I have a beautiful wife and a wonderful home and a wonderful life. So, yes, I understand that when you go through things, these what ifs will pop up. I do. And I want to just say a little joke. This is for you, Rev Rhoda, and this is for you, Reverend Joan, all right? So, what do you call an English teacher who used to have anxiety? Past tense. Okay. This is Robert Pomonis's fault, because when he prayed in, he said that I was gonna bring joy and laughter. So hey, there's the joke for you. Thank you, Robert. So how about we just live in the present moment? How about that? After all, this is the place where joy, happiness resides, that sufficiency of God's grace that Joel Goldsmith wrote about in the eternal now. So what I want to give to you is some tools and some ways to stay in the present moment. And the first thing that I want to do is just have you take a deep breath. Just breathe. Just be really conscious about the breath. Notice how it feels to come in through your nose or your mouth, however you're breathing. Feel that air coming into your body temple, down into your lungs. And when you exhale, just notice how it feels to exhale. All the areas in the inside of your body that air touches. And when it comes out of your mouth and your nose, the warmth of it. Just take a moment to be in the now. When we're breathing like this consciously, we can't be in the past and we can't be in the future. We can only breathe in this now moment. So that's one way to stay present. Consciously breathing. I'm not talking about breathing techniques, although there are many, and you all know I studied Dr. Sue's breathing techniques, but I'm talking about just taking a moment for a conscious breath. So there's one for you. The other one is, like I said before, is gratitude. I said that after my divorce that gratitude saved me. Here's how it saved me. I was a Facebook user then, and I am now, and I noticed that a lot of Facebook posts were people that were, I guess the word is complaining about things that were going on in their life. And I decided that if I was going to post anything on Facebook, I wanted to be optimistic and in the present moment. So I did a gratitude project. 30 days of 3 things I was grateful for. It didn't matter how small or how big. And it was seriously like days after my divorce. So a lot of people didn't know that we were broken up. And I started this gratitude process. And every day I did 3 things. Now, some days felt harder than others to reach for something, but I did it. You know, whether it was the cup of tea that I just had, or the morning that I had time to sit with my dogs, or that I spoke to a friend on the phone that was really supportive. So everything. Oh, and speaking of the dogs, here they come. So every day I did that. And it was months later that a few friends that I rode my bike with, they said, we didn't even know that you were going through that. We had no idea. And, you know, it's not like I was ashamed to say what was going on. I just knew that I wanted to plant the seeds of staying present to the qualities that I wanted for my life as it continued moving on from that relationship. So that's what I did. Gratitude is extremely powerful, even if you just take a moment to be in appreciation. Like, let's do that right now. I appreciate Zoom for all these months. We never missed a Sunday, you guys, through this whole time. We were always here for each other. I have big appreciation for technology. Even when I get frustrated with it, I still am so grateful that I get to connect with all of you like this. So gratitude, appreciation. The next way you can stay in the moment is by touch. Maybe you do have a pet like I do, a cat or a dog, and you find yourself going to the future, to the what ifs, or you find yourself going to the past. Grab your pet and just be with that pet for a moment. Maybe you don't have pets and you have flowers and trees. Go touch the leaves. I have these like little stones. This is one that someone gave me. I keep it on my desk because if I do go to that place where I'm projecting what's going to happen, I can just pick this up. And just by touching this, bring myself to this now moment. I can also give myself a touch. You know, look at my hands and be grateful for them and just, you know, feel them. I can do that also if maybe you don't have a significant other, but you're feeling like you need that touch. I can like give myself a little shoulder rub. You know, touching is very important and it brings you back. Yes, Rona, big hugs to ourselves. It keeps you in the now moment. The other thing that can keep you in the now moment is having a mantra. One of my favorite mantras is, God is, I am. God is, I am. I can say that over and over and over and over, and it gives my mind something to grasp onto that is in the now moment. They say, someone told me this a long time ago, that a guru in India explained to his beloved student why they created mantras, and that is that they were watching elephants walk through very busy places, and the elephant's trunk was going back and forth and hitting all kinds of things and making a big mess as it went through. But when they gave the elephant something to hold on to, it stayed still, it stayed focused. So letting yourself have a mantra, of course, one of the most famous ones is Om, right? Whichever one works for you. For me, I love God is, I am. I've used it for years and years, and maybe a new one will come along that captures my heart the way this does. But for now, that's what works for me. So I encourage you to find your mantra. The next thing to stay in the present moment is to allow our bodies to be our wisdom, our guide. In Dr. Seuss speak, we call it a body scan. So let's say something's going on, you're just really feeling uptight. Maybe you're worried about what might or might not happen. Close your eyes and scan your body from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, inch by inch by inch. And if you come up to a point that has some tightness or resistance or some pain, just send it lots of love. Now, I'm going to say this process is so powerful that it'll take you exactly where you need to send that extra love to. The body is profoundly intelligent. It is our energy in form. It is us, right? So by utilizing that place to give love to whatever is wanting that extra energy, it creates a space of not thinking and just loving and being this body temple that we live in. The next thing is really listening. Okay, I'm going to admit something. When I listen to people, or I'd say this is more so in the past, I would always hear something that they said, but have like a response that popped up in my mind that I wanted to say in response to what they were talking about. The challenge is that when I did that, I was no longer listening to them, right? I was listening to myself and my own thoughts. When you are really listening, you are in the now moment. You are in that grace, in that sufficiency of grace that Joel Goldsmith spoke about. So, it is sacred to listen to others. This is what I believe, especially as a practitioner and a minister. I make sure that whatever is on my heart and mind, that I acknowledge it before I go into this sacred time with my beloved community. Because my stuff, it'll be there when I'm done. But the truth is, I want to be in the now moment so focused that I listen to every word and that I hear the spoken and the unspoken. So staying really present by listening. So those are just some ways. I know that there's many ways to stay present. One thing that I really, really recognize is that it's a process to get to the point where you're really present in every moment. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of years of spiritual journey to get there. And what happens when we're not there yet? We're all work in progress. So here's what I offer you about that. Anytime you're thinking about the past, that's your signal. That's your wake-up call. Oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking about the past. Let me come home. Let me just hold this rock. Let me call someone and listen to them. Let me take a conscious breath. Let me do one of these things that I just went over. Okay? So let's say that you're going along your day and all of a sudden you're in the world of what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Again, boom, that's your wake-up call. It's not for us to beat ourselves up about it. It is our wake-up call. It is a principle that we can use to bring ourselves to the now moment. So imagine that anytime that happens, we use it as a wake-up call to be present. Imagine that world. Perfect song, Marcia. To be in the oneness, we have to be present, right? To be truly connected to everybody and everything on this planet, it takes being a present person, an aware person. So use those moments to ground yourself, to come back to the now moment, to focus on what you appreciate about your life. I would love it if you could just take a moment right now and list, if you have paper, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Just list 3 ways that you can be in the present moment. It doesn't have to be what I just said. Maybe there's something new that's ready to birth in you. 3 ways to be in the present moment. Maybe for you, it's listening to music. Maybe it's walking in nature. Maybe it is taking a conscious breath. Maybe it is playing with your grandchild. Maybe it is calling your son or daughter, or calling your father or mother. Maybe it is praying. Maybe it is meditating or dancing. So now that you have those ways for yourself that work for you, write them down and just have a reminder. This is how I stay present. And when we go into our after party, I'd love it if anyone wants to stay on and tell us what really works for you to stay in your present moment. I just want to go back to what Joel Goldsmith said, that in God there is no time, there is only the eternal now. And when I really, really get that, there's no divorce and no toothache and no worry and no situation that can move me off my center, move me away from the truth that there is only one power and presence, and that is me, it is you, it is everyone. So with that, I invite you to close your outer eyes as we go into prayer.